All right, let me know when it pops up. Give me a...
Good evening. Welcome to the Commission on Disabilities February 14th meeting. Please rise for the saluted flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call of the members.
So, Co-Chair Ralph DeChico.
Here.
Co-Chair David Hasey. Here. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Hassey, sorry. Enza Goodwin.
Here.
Paul Mazzone. And Harvey Corin. Okay. So with that, item number 1 on the agenda, updates on the disabilities page on the city website.
Thank you. Just a point of information, we have updated the disabilities page on the City of Revere's webpage. We have the new handicap sign program applications are now available to download. There's 2 different applications that are available. There's a driver-only application, and then there's a passenger-only application. They're basically the similar forms. They can be downloaded, and then they can be either filled out and scanned and then re-emailed back to the disabilities at the disabilities email address, which is disabilities@revere.org, or for the time being, they can be just sent back to Revere City Hall, Attention Disabilities Commission. And there's also the new medical documentation for the for the handicap sign program, along with some information for what's needed to do before you get started in the handicap program. That would be helpful to explain the process and answer some of the questions that you may have. And there's rules that go along with the application and what is needed to be able to apply for a handicap application that will try and alleviate some of the problems that people may have with that. Also, I had seen that we created under the facts tab some more helpful information and links to the registry of motor vehicles for anyone who would need to apply for either a handicap placard or a handicap plate. I felt that this would be one-stop shopping for people, so they wouldn't have to go to different websites and look for it. This way everything is right under the City of Revere to make it a lot more easier for our residents of Revere. And there's also another link that I have added to there for how anyone with disabilities can find out about services and information that are available from the state of Massachusetts that will be a direct link to the Massachusetts Office on Disabilities, their website link. That is also helpful, along with, you could always reach out to us at the Disabilities email address or at our phone number. Right now, we're manning the phones. The phone is back up in existence, that we are getting messages and we are getting emails when a message is left. That phone number is the original phone number that was used in the past, which is 781-286-8267. So you can call us with your questions and we will get back to you as soon as possible. So that's just a summation of the disabilities page on the city website that will be helpful. We'll also be adding some more information as the days and weeks go by. So trying to make it a lot more helpful and useful for our citizens of Revere with disabilities and also their family members.
Great. Thank you, Ralph. Is any other comments on this? Okay. So move to the second item on the agenda, which is an update on some requests for signage that we discussed at the last meeting that David has some more details on.
This is just in response to a request from someone about request to get a sign put up for warning people about autistic children in areas. I did reach out to Jeff Dugan from the State Office of Disabilities about that. This is a new idea for the city of Revere. There are such signs available that are used in different communities across the Commonwealth. Mostly they're used in more rural communities where the speed limits are higher and the traffic is faster. They're not so common in more urban communities. The only localities that he was able to find them that they're being used currently are places like Worcester, Springfield, Boston, places like that. Boston right now is the only place that has an actual policy by which they're used, and that's generally what they do there. Is the Disability Commission takes a look at the applications, but then it gets sent over to the Transportation Department. They only get about 1 or 2 applications a year. He's going to get me a copy of their procedures and things like that. I have not got that yet. I talked to him today, and he did tell me he'd get that to me right away. He did also give me copies of the signs and tell me where we could get them and pricing and things like that. I do have that available. And he is going to get me a copy of their policy handbook on that. So I think that the best thing we're going to do, I talked to Ralph about that, is we're going to meet and see what the policy is. He did tell me that we ought to really be careful with that, because the same thing could happen with them that happens with the handicap parking signs and things like that. Because as things change in neighborhoods, people move, things change, and kids grow up and all that. So we can end up with too many, and also the other thing that can happen is you end up with too many signs in a neighborhood that people stop paying any attention to them at all. And they become almost useless because of that. So it's something that we have to be really well aware of and pay a whole lot of attention to.
So what I was not clear on, and I know we had some email exchanges with the Traffic Commission, and I'm going to their meeting on Thursday so I can get more detail, is to do something like that, would that require an ordinance change or a motion from the Traffic Commission, or is that something that could just be erected?
It should not require it. He did tell me that the city of Boston did not have to do that. That's something that just can be put in place by probably by the Traffic Commission if they want to. That's not something that they did there, and it's not something they did in Worcester either.
Okay. I'm going to be at the Traffic Commission meeting on Thursday, so I'll bring this up and I'll report back, and we'll make sure to circle back on this at the next meeting.
Okay, great.
Did you have any other comments on this, or anyone in the audience? Great. Okay, the next agenda item is with regards to collaboration between the Commission and the Veteran Service Department. I believe this was your item as well.
Okay, thank you very much. I did reach out to only because I have some experience with when I worked with the city of Chelsea, and because I have some personal interest in veterans and wounded veterans and disabled veterans. I did take the opportunity when I was over in the American Legion a few weeks ago to stop in to see the veterans in the Veterans Department. Didn't realize at the time we didn't have a veteran service agent, but I did find out, and I did sort of remember that when Cindy was here, she did do some work in collaboration with the veteran service agent. And she did tell me that they did, and once the new veteran service agent is named, I do plan on getting in touch with them and seeing if there's any work that we can do in concert with them. And at this point, too, I would like to say that we are definitely interested in collaborating with any other agencies throughout the city. You know, there's lots of things we can do with the Council on Aging, the Election Department, or any other department, school department. There's many things that I'm really particularly interested in working with any other agency and seeing if there's anything we can do at all that would maybe helpful, or any other boards or anything that I could sit on that would be, our services would be, helpful to them.
Great. And I believe the new veteran service agent is starting this week, I want to say, so I'll make sure to connect you that we can go forward and build that collaboration.
Great. Look forward to meeting.
Great. Do you have any other comments on this? Or?
No, not on that one specifically, no.
Okay. Okay, the fourth item, discussions with Susan Hamilton from DCR regarding handicap accessibility to Revere Beach.
Yes, I had met Susan Hamilton a year or two ago, I guess, when we were working on on saving Sullivan Field down in Revere Beach. She's the woman who works for the DCR, and she's in charge of the Revere Beach. She's in charge of various beaches for the DCR. And I spoke with her about different parts of the beach and being accessible for handicapped people. There's lots of places, there's parking at places where there are breaks in the beach where they put the breaks for the surf to get through and things like that in the storms. And there is a couple of locations where they have space. I know I walk with the cane, and the soft sand is extremely difficult for people who have mobility problems. I have to use it. I walk with the cane. I see people with crutches and wheelchairs and things like that. It's very hard for them to get beyond the sidewalk down to the water's edge. The soft sand is very difficult to maneuver. Once you get to the hard sand, it's not so bad. But anyone who wants to even get their toes in the water, to get beyond the soft down to the hard sand and then into the water, it's virtually impossible. There are two sections of the beach that already have like a mesh sort of walkway that they can get down to. And I've been to other beaches where you can actually get pretty far along to get to the water. I've talked to her a little bit back and forth by email and things like that, and we're exploring the possibility of doing a couple of things like that in different locations along the beach. I'm not sure how successful we're going to be because they do groom the beach every day. They do a beautiful job grooming the beach, and the rake that they use, that would interfere with it if they put any kind of stones or anything like that. That could interfere with it. So that's an important thing too. It could also cause a tripping hazard for people walking there at night. You have to be real careful with things like that too. So we're working to see what might work, or how many of those we could install if you can install them at all, or how far down they could go. So that's a work in progress, but I think it's something that's real valuable, and she's been really very, very nice and very cooperative and real helpful on that. So hopefully next month's meeting we'll have some more information on that. That'll be March, and if we can do something, hopefully we'll have it done for the summer or for the spring months. So we'll see, maybe Memorial Day.
That'd be great. Ralph?
This is just another point of information on the Revere Beach area. We recently were notified from a resident constituent about just a little bit of I don't know if it was just an oversight or whatnot with the snowstorms, and it's to be expected that some of the handicap parking spaces were not cleaned down there, and I'm taking the resident at their word that the rest of the areas were plowed out, but a few of the handicap ones were not. So I was wondering if we could possibly send the communication to DCR from the city to make sure that they can do their best to make sure that the handicap parking spots on the boulevard could be cleaned so that the patrons could be able to use the restaurants that are there on the boulevard.
So if I may make a suggestion, if you wanted to offer a motion to request that the mayor's office send a communication.
I'd like to make a motion that we could that we could ask the mayor's office to send a communication to the DCR to request that they try to make sure that they can keep the handicap parking spaces on the boulevard clean for the patrons to be able to visit the restaurants on the boulevard.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So it's adopted. So that'll be sent over to our office, and we'll send that communication out to DCR. Anything else on this topic? So with that, the final item that we have is the open forum, for resident feedback. I'd like to just open up with a couple of things. First of all, we in addition to Revere TV, we also have this meeting streaming live on YouTube now, which is great. Obviously, it's always good to have more options for people to view city meetings, but especially when we're talking about the Commission on Disabilities, making things accessible for people to watch even if they're at home is great. So thank you to Revere TV for that. And I'd like to encourage anyone that does watch from home that you can definitely call or email the hotline or the email address with any items that you want us to discuss at the next meeting. If you want to put something on the agenda, if you see a concern in the community that there's something that you want us to discuss, please send it along, even if you can't be here. I would like to also give a quick shout to the fact that the special needs playgroup that the parents have organized in the community had a successful Valentine's Day party this past weekend at the Revere Recreation Department that was well attended. Wonderful job. And that same group has been spearheading the Special Olympics, which is going to be having another session starting next month. And so Enzo, if you wouldn't mind, if you could just, for anyone watching at home, give some details about that upcoming session.
Yeah, so we have our second session of young athletes that will be starting up on March 11th. It's going to be a 6-week session, and it'll take place from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Paul Revere School. And it gives an opportunity to kids as young as 2 years old up until 7 years old a chance to meet on a weekly basis and learn some new skills, new athletic skills. And it also gives an opportunity to volunteers to come out and pair up with our young athletes. It was a huge success the first time around, and at this point, it seems like between young athletes signing up and volunteers, we're going in that same direction again. So, very excited about that. We are looking for volunteers, so if anyone is interested, you can contact me, I guess maybe through this email, through the disability, or my own? Okay. So my email is etumb@comcast.net. That would be great. We got some more volunteers in today, so they keep coming through, so thank you.
Excellent. Okay, does anyone else have any items they'd like to discuss? Anyone? Good.
Just state your name and address for the record, please. Yes.
Jennifer Duggan, 36 Oxford Park. I'm a resident with a child with autism. I had a parent reach out to me recently that does not speak English. And she, through someone else, she obviously reached out to me, and she wants to try to get her child involved in some of the things that we've been putting on. But we don't have access to getting flyers put in Spanish or anything like that. So I didn't know if there's a way that the commission could help with some of the stuff that we put out as the parents, or we go through the rec center as well. Maybe you guys can help with that?
Yeah, I'm actively, through the mayor's office, looking to get our applications that we have translated in Spanish also. So as soon as I get that contact, I can pass along that information, because that's what I'm in the process of doing now. Because right now I have our applications in English, and trying to get that through the city to get that, the translator that they use to get them translated in Spanish.
Do you know how to be in touch once we have that? Okay, great. All right. Anyone else? I think I know who this is.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Commission. First of all, I want to congratulate everybody for taking the time to do this chore. It's an important commission, and I was involved with it many years before, and I think it's very, very important. It's too bad that it went to the wayside, but we're back now, and there's a lot of work to do in the city. Excuse me. Couple things that you've already spoken about, but I figured I'd do everything all at once. First of all, I know a lot of the city buildings are not HP accessible. And being a veteran and involved with the veterans, the American Legion building specifically is not fully handicap accessible. You can get in there with a ramp. Now that ramp, and I'll just give you a little history about the ramp. That ramp originally was purchased by the city of Revere just for election days. And it was put up for election day, taken down after election day, stored away until the next election day. And it just wasn't feasible to do it all the time. And at that time, I talked to Mayor Ambrosino, and I said, Mr. Mayor, I said, you have a ramp. You have a veterans building with a lot of veterans going in and out of it. You have an election day situation where a lot of handicapped people attend elections and even attending some of the public functions at the Legion itself on non-election days. So why don't you leave it up? Just leave it up there. You're saving yourself almost $3,000 a year by putting it up, taking it down so many times. So he agreed to that, and that's what you see now. It's old. Here it is. Mayor Arrigo's in 1 year. We had 4 years with Mayor Rizzo and 3 more years beyond that with Mayor Ambrosino. So now we're talking, that ramp is 8 years old. It's damaged. The guys at the Legion do plan on supporting it to a point that it doesn't collapse. Excuse me. So, but even with Cindy, when Cindy was around, we had even toured the facility to see about making it fully handicap accessible. Granted, the big issue on every issue that we talk about is the big dollar sign. But we needed someone and still need someone. We have ideas of what we want to do and what has to be done. And I'm sure even what we think of is just a piece of the pie. There'll be more things that pop up to make it fully accessible with the new rules that are coming. My history, it was in property management. I worked for the Commonwealth of Mass, and I have certificates and classes that I went to for HP, for DCAM, and different organizations to learn about it. The height of the threshold and the width of a door, and so my challenge to you is to work with the mayor's office and see what kind of grants are available, see if we can get someone to draw some specifications up for a ramp out front. It doesn't have to be a straight ramp. It could be a curved ramp to the right side, which we looked at, widening the front door, widening the inside door, and making handicap accessible bathrooms. And the Legion members are open to giving up, if there's extra space that they have to give up to make the bathrooms fully accessible, they're willing to do that. So that's a challenge I give to you folks, to look and see what grants are available for it. Now, as far as construction, the unions around that work in Revere are always willing to help with something like this. You get your masons, you get your carpenters. Everybody is always willing to put a project together like this and to do something good. So it's not only for veterans, for everybody. And the building is now used for everybody. They open it to the city, for nothing. It is a city building, by the way. So the inside of the building is usually responsible by the Legion itself, but when it comes to facility construction, the city is still responsible for stuff like that. So if it means fixing up the place beyond that, the Legion is willing to do something to help make it better. So that's item number one. Number two is, and I hadn't heard it mentioned tonight, but I'm sure one of these days you would have, is I had a motion several years ago that Revere TV put in closed caption for the hearing impaired. It passed the council, and we came in, well, we don't have the equipment for it, we don't have the people to do it, because that's all live. You know, people are actually either talking and it's converting to closed caption, or they're actually typing in a store, and I found out you can even do it, find someone to do it at home. As long as they have a computer to tie in somewhere, they can do closed caption. Now, it is a lot of money, because you have to hire this person to do the closed caption typing, unless, of course, somebody can find somebody who wants to donate their time. But the equipment is a big issue with Revere TV, as far as being able to produce the closed caption on their screen. What I would recommend is, again, another challenge, look into this, and maybe the mayor's office can look and see what kind of funding we can get from ETP funds. That's what it's for. Search it out. See what we can do. Joe, you had something?
No, I was just going to say let's make sure that between now and next meeting, we, kick the tires on both of these and just at least start the conversation in terms of what needs to be done and how much it might cost. It's worth having the conversation.
Thank you. Having a disabled wife, keeps me involved in knowing what has to be available. My house is all ramped. My bathroom is all HP certified. So I know what has to be done, and, with that, I've always been involved with the commission. So just a few updates I want to give you as far as DCR is concerned. I work with them all the time. I didn't know about the snow removal. Honestly, all I know is they did the sidewalks and they did some of the ramps at the crosswalks, which are handicap accessible, and they have a program going on now to HP every crosswalk on the reservation, which they've done a lot of them so far. So we ought to think about, and they're very good. If there is a problem coming up, they will respond to it. They are very good. I've had a very good rapport with the maintenance crew down there, and they love their work. They love taking care of Revere Beach. So as far as HP signs that people request, I know you're going to be working with, and if you haven't already, with Sergeant Janino with the Traffic Commission, and I deal with him. I always get a call about a HP sign. I need one in front of my house. I tell them what they have to do, get the application, and you folks, back then you did, I don't know if you do it now, or we'll work with him and go out and view them, about seeing whether or not the person is not legitimately HP'd or in any challenged, but whether or not they have the proper grid, the grade in their driveway is bad for them, or they have a long way to walk. People have to realize that you can't put an HP sign on a no parking side of a street. You can't put it across the street in front of somebody else's house. And I tell everybody, you can get the sign. I don't have a problem with that. But anybody can park there. Your name is not on it. Unlike the city of Boston, they do have plate numbers that they put on their signs. Go into East Boston. Oh, not anymore? Oh, okay. Well, I know in East Boston, I think I just saw some recently. So, but that's good to know, because it is an open thing for any HP placard or plate to park at.
Just a point of information, through the state's ordinance, in order to have a handicap sign in front of your house, the state ordinance it's for anyone. So if any communities have been doing that, it's against the state ordinance.
That's correct, and I'm glad to hear that. But people don't realize, too, that the police can go onto private property and tag for HP violations, specifically in malls, little small shopping centers. If they see an illegal vehicle, they can tag it. So people have to understand that also. As far as the new signs, we talked about the old signs. I'm always approaching the traffic commission to remove signs, knowing that people have passed on, have moved away, can't drive anymore, or they don't have anybody to use it anymore, to ask them to remove it. I think I just had 5 or 6 removed just from my neighborhood at the last meeting.
Yeah, since we've established this, I've put in requests for 4 of them already that I've found. It's just the documentation hasn't been up to date, so, but also what we are going to be establishing is, it's in our city ordinance that once a handicap sign is there, it's not there for life, you need to, and we're going to establish it, it's going to have to be renewed on a yearly basis. It is in our city ordinance that that's going to be done. It's just starting from here, as the new applications come in, once you have it, now that we can track it, you're going to be having to renew it on a yearly basis. And at the same time, we're going to be going on the backlog for the old ones that are there and doing that. So from this point on, it will be getting tracked.
And I know it's difficult, very difficult, to remove a sign. It probably takes me 2 or 3 years just to establish that the person's not using it anymore. So we keep an eye on those things, and I know some of my neighbors do. They're pretty good about something like that. You talked about the survey. I know several years ago in the census, there was a HP survey that used to be. I didn't see it this year.
From what I thought was going to happen, I thought they, Joe, you might have some information on this. I thought Ms. Darenpool was working, Community Initiatives was working on it, and I thought that's what I was going to be bringing up at our next cluster meeting. I thought there was one that was supposed to be going out with the census this year, but it was not in there. No, I just
we didn't get it
got
in my
mine, yeah.
house. The only thing it shows on a census is if a person has reported themselves disabled.
So we'll make sure that
Sure.
the commission is on top of, getting an up-to-date survey out for
Right.
next year.
And, and again, now if we have disabled folks that have identified themselves as disabled, because not everybody does, if we can get emails from them when we send out the survey, so we can send out information to them and to reconfirm.
That's a good idea too, is I can also, once we have one created, I'll actually put one on our website too, to see if we can get anyone to fill it out from there, and then we can establish a database and keep it there also.
I think the last issue is regarding street signs themselves. I know you talked about autism signs. You're talking about like autistic child on a particular street. I don't believe, those are just notification, they're not rule signs. They're just to let people know that there's someone around. It's just like slow children signs. We don't need ordinances for stuff like that. And we see deaf child or deaf person, and that's not an ordinance change issue. It's just to let people know. So autism signs could be purchased, whether it be in your budget or the DPW budget. Hey, if the mayor wants to put it in, allow it and the city council approves it, for signage, and the DPW puts them up for you. So it doesn't cost you to put them up. It may be in the DPW budget. You may have to request it through them to put X amount of signs. And then the last item on signs is HP ramp signs, because where people park in front of ramps, especially in the elderly neighborhood where Dolphin Ave or Hyman Tower or Harris Street, where there's a HP ramp for people to come out with, they get the ride all the time, or there's different East Boston Neighborhood Health Center is coming down and pick somebody up, or the Peapod is coming to deliver for a HP person. People park in front of these ramps constantly. I know it's difficult for the police to catch them, but if people had used their cell phone camera and call the police, if the police come down in time, fine, that they get tagged. But I think those HP signs at the ramps at specific locations could be an addition, because I know we have it, someone put one up at Hyman Tower on a tree, just a wrap, it's not even a nailed sign. But yellow lines for HP, for ambulance delivery, pick up in emergency situations. This is all, I think, under your purview, and I would hope that, give you some things to work on during the time you're on the commission, and that you want to have some people that want to deal with this stuff. So I thank you for your time. Again, I congratulate you for being appointed by the mayor and the council, reaffirming it, and I look forward to hopefully be up here a little more often. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Council.
All right, does anyone else have any items they'd like to discuss? Well, on that note,
Just a couple of points of information that I would just say personal privilege. Just wanted to wish all our residents a happy Valentine's Day out there. I don't know, myself and you, our wives are probably mad that we're here. Joe, maybe your girlfriend might be mad, but this is what we have to do. We have to do. Also, on another note, I just want to hope that everybody can please help me in extending their prayers to a fellow resident of Revere who's very involved with the Little Ricky Foundation, Rick Frenny, who's undergoing a very big surgery at the present moment, that he gets through it all right and makes a speedy recovery. He does a lot for the children in the city, for the Little Ricky Foundation.
for sure, and I'm sure the whole city is wishing you well. What's the date of our next meeting, Ralph?
Our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, March 14th at 6 p.m.
Great.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we'll see you March 14th. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.